Hello, it's Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy. Got that here, right here. Yeah, the guy who knows a guy, guy.com. I'm going to talk to you tonight about how to not offend people on the internet. This had a fancy name. How communicating online without offending people. I'm going to put that at the bottom. I can do because no one's watching yet. Oh, there we go. Hello, one person is watching. Do feel free to leave comments. Hopefully you've given StreamYard permission for me to see them. Otherwise, I can't see your comments. Although I will have my phone out here, which will hopefully tell me what's going on for the people who have not signed up with StreamYard. Oh, somebody just said I am, although I can't see who it is. But thank you, somebody. Thank you, random citizen. So what I want to talk about was the fact that people seem to be so much more easily offended these days, and a lot of that comes down to the way we are communicating. So now people have always been offended on the internet. I was on LiveJournal back in the old days. So I started being on what could be called social media going as far back as 2000. Yeah, it's 2000 when I first got on LiveJournal. So I've been on social media in some kind for 20 years. We called them flame wars back in the old days when you would have a big argument with somebody, and those on listserv, email lists, and whatnot. Someone would say something and go back and forth the whole thing. But these days, it is more common and more divisive, and the reason is we've gotten more lazy. It has become more easy to share ideas. Now, when I say ideas, I don't mean ideas. Like I'm sharing ideas here. I'm probably going to say a lot of things, some which you may disagree with. And I don't think I'm going to really offend a lot of people because I'm explaining my ideas. Where you get into trouble is, oh, thanks, Jim. Jim, it'll be recorded. You can watch it later. So where you get into trouble is when you share other people's prepackaged ideas. In the old days, in a quieter, more innocent time, memes were funny things where someone said, "This is cute. I'm just going to put a little bit of text on this. This would be funny," right? I'm talking about the funny memes. But then people realized that memes were a very effective method for transmitting information. Actually, before I went live, I said, "Oh, let me go on Facebook and find some partisan memes." And of course, the one time I can't find partisan memes was when I went to look for them when I needed them. But and let me give you an example that was used recently and used for an intentional purpose. I think it was Save the Children was the hashtag. It's a big thing about pedophiles. Now, who doesn't hate pedophiles? I think even pedophiles hate pedophiles. Everyone hates pedophiles. We can all pretty much agree on that. But it was packaged with other things because a lot of those Save the Children memes had violent overtones. Share if you'd kill a pedophile if you saw one. If you'd stab a pedophile in the face. Well, I mean, who doesn't hate pedophiles? So violence sounds pretty good against them. The problem is, if your agenda is getting people primed for violence, it's a great way to do it. You just got people to agree, hey, yeah, I'd stab a human being who matches a certain description. Now, you may not think a pedophile is a human being, but they are still a human. They're mentally unbalanced, and they're a very bad human being, but they're still human. So, that was an example where something got spread far and wide, and a message got spread with it without people realizing what they're doing. This talk was inspired because a friend of mine, I should have screenshotted it because then I could show it to you, but a friend of mine shared a meme that said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact wording, but it said, when a police officer is killed, it said they knew the risks when they took the job, but when a criminal is killed, shouldn't they have known the risks when they decided to become a criminal? And I commented on that. And now I don't get offended by things people post online because I know they're just sharing whatever. And usually if they like some small piece of it, not the whole thing, right? This person I know is a very kind and gentle person and does not favor criminals being killed in the street. I know that. But the implication, she supported police and she was upset that people were saying negative things about police, which I support police. I know a number of our local police. They are great people. They're here to keep us safe. They mean well. And we're actually in a town with a great police department. So I support police, but I also support the right to due process and the right to not be killed by police for being suspected of a crime, which I think, again, most people would support. But so she latched on to this pro-police message, not realizing that there were other messages in it which could be read by some as racist. Because, of course, the reason people are protesting police, all these things are very nuanced and complicated. The reason people are protesting police is because of perceived racial injustice that is happening. And they want to stop. And I think we'd all agree that racial injustice is probably pretty bad. So a lot of these memes that you're seeing and sharing, quite possibly, were not organically created. It wasn't just someone said, oh, yeah, I'm just going to write some things. A lot of them were created by professionals, whether in this country who are trying to push a political agenda or in other countries. And some of the people in other countries and in this country, their goal is nothing more than chaos. They just want to mess stuff up. Because if you're a Russian operative, a Chinese operative, a North Korean operative, chaos in America is good for you. Doesn't matter who wins, left, right, up, down. As long as we're fighting each other, we can't focus on them. And they can do whatever they want if we can be distracted fighting each other. So they are taking advantage of that to toss these memes out that you will see because you agree with some part of it, whatever your message is. You'll share that meme to alienate you from your friends, which makes us all weaker. It's bad. So that's what you shouldn't do. What should you do? So you want to communicate. You've got opinions. You have things you want to share. Well, share that, but share it the not lazy way. Talk about it. Write about it. Explain it. Right? So I see this in comments all the time that someone will say, they'll post a pro Biden meme. And someone else will be like, he's a criminal and a crook and he's really old and tired. No evidence, just talking points. Or, someone posts a Trump meme and say, he's a criminal and a traitor and he needs to be strung up and dragged out in the street. Whatever. Again, that's not discussion. That's not an argument. It's simply being like, other guys. That's what you say about the opposing sports team. Right? Yankees stink. Red Sox are awesome. You don't need to justify it. It's your team, their team. But here's the thing. Politics isn't a team sport. We're all on the same team. That's the American team, assuming that you're in the United States, which is primarily the audience I'm speaking to. We're all on the same team. That's the American team. We're all here to make America better for everyone. There's enough to go around in America for everyone. We don't need to fight each other. We're not the enemy of each other. We're all on the same team. So whenever I do engage into a conversation, I engage fully. I either say nothing or I actually get in there. So if somebody talks about minimum wage, I will talk about economic effect. My background is economics. That's what my degree is in. So if somebody talks about minimum wage, I will talk about velocity of money. I will talk about the fact that lower wage people, when given more money, will spend more, which creates a cycle. And I'll really kind of go in detail on that and how it works. Now, you could disagree. You could say, well, I see how that happens, but that's going to drive businesses out and the money ends up going to Amazon and whatever. But we can have a nuanced conversation because I'm going to start with a discussion of some facts, a discussion of how these things actually work as far as I know them. Or I'm going to go get some articles and say, well, here's what I know. Because there's two ways you can speak. You can speak to push your message at somebody, or you can communicate to learn and to share ideas. And when you share ideas, you will change a little and they will change a little, and you will both be better for it because you have both learned something from it. This should be your goal in communication. So when I respond to one of these memes that I see, I will never say, well, that guy is a jerk and I don't like him. But what I may say, and what they'll do eventually, this me doing the StreamYard, is I said, and again, for those who just joined us, the meme that originally started this was one that said, when police officers are killed, they say that they understood the risk when they signed up. And so why is it when criminals are killed, they didn't understand the risks when they committed a crime? So I said, well, one, I have never heard a person say, outside of a movie, I've never heard a live human being say, the officer knew the risks when he put on the uniform. Never. I've never, ever heard someone say that. And that's the predicating idea of this thing. And then the second thing I said is some of these people who are killed didn't commit a crime. So they should have thought about this before they got accused of a crime. And I didn't go so far as to say, but I was thinking it, they should have thought about this before they decided to be black. So that's kind of how I engaged on it, is I said, here are my concerns with what you just said. And often, especially when I know someone, I'll say, I don't think this says what you want to say. I don't think this meme is consistent with what I know your values to be. There's some racial undertones in this meme. I don't think you're racist. I don't think you meant to say that. There's some there's some sexist overtones. There's some whatever. I don't think you meant to say that. And that's what I'll say, because I want to give them the chance to say, well, and so often it is, well, I didn't agree with all of it, but. So, first thing I'm going to say, do not share a meme if you do not agree with every single word of it, and not just every word, but every implication. If you don't understand what it's suggesting, what it's part of, what the larger movement it's part of, where it came from, don't share it. And you may say, well, Michael, I can't research every meme that I might share. Fine. Don't share any. Okay? Simple. Because this viral idea is working. And the reason that intentional actors can push messages into the meme stream is that people are like, haha, that's funny, share. Or, haha, I agree with that, share. Or, grrr, don't say bad things about cops, share. They don't think about it, they just spread it. And so you give a vehicle for anyone who's working to, on this kind of agenda, you're giving them a vehicle to spread a message through you. In the old days, someone had to actually infect your computer with malware or a virus to use you to spread bad messages. Now they just have to make you laugh. So don't do that. Now, I do share memes now and then, but I'm very careful about only sharing them if I really understand what they mean. And some of them, I share them because they're innocuous, but also stay away from anything that doesn't match my values. I oppose violence. Violence is bad. All violence is bad. Why do I say all violence is bad? What about punching a Nazi? Wouldn't you punch a Nazi? Let me digress into that Nazi one. So, what is a Nazi? I think I'm hoping I'm not going out on a political limb here to say I don't like Nazis. Nazis are bad. We fought a whole war about this, and a pretty settled question. Nazis, bad. Don't like them. Bad Nazis. But what is a Nazi? Now, are we talking about someone who's actually standing there with a swastika and doing the salute and saying Heil and everything? Okay, well, that's pretty clearly a Nazi, but probably a fairly disturbed individual. And there's probably a lot more going on than Nazi stuff if they're getting into fetishizing a 70-year-old failed empire. But now, if we're talking about somebody who is actively committing a racist attack or event, if I come across someone who is assaulting someone for their race or for any reason, this might be a time to punch. Might be a punching occasion. If I come across someone who is dressed up like a Nazi and saluting and saying racist things, should I punch them? Maybe. Okay. Maybe. And if you said you wanted to, I could accept that. What about the guy standing next to them? What about the guy who works with him? What about someone he's voting for? If the Nazi votes for a candidate, does that make that candidate a Nazi? I mean, it's not COVID-19. It's not that contagious. being a Nazi isn't something you can catch by standing within 6 feet of someone for 15 minutes. So this is where it gets dangerous, because when you say let's punch a Nazi, which was a big thing like 2 years ago, when you say let's punch a Nazi, okay, yes. Would you do violence against someone who's doing racial violence? Okay. Would you commit violence against someone who was espousing anti-American racist beliefs that are dangerous? Okay. And then you get a little further out. Because you already said you're okay with violence against this group. What about this group? What about this group? What about this group? What about this group? Before you know it, you're painting Republicans as Nazis. And now you're saying it's okay to punch a Republican, which I think I'm pretty much against that. Shouldn't punch people because they're Republicans or Democrats. So, those things tend to be very slippery slopes. So as general rule, against violence. So if that meme says, I would do violence to such a person, I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to share that idea. If it divides, if it insults, not going to share that. It's not effective. It's not often that funny, and it's going to offend people. It is a much better idea. And now, even if you do want to share your views, you want to try to convince people, you want to try to get them to vote for your candidate or believe, agree with your position or whatever else it might be, the best way to do that is to keep your powder dry. It's not to go out there and be like, vote for this person, vote for this, go team donkey, go team Republican, or go team elephant, go team donkey, go team elephant. If you do that, people ignore your opinion. Oh, you're partisan. Oh, you're on the team. Instead, don't talk about candidates. Don't talk about parties. Talk about issues. Talk about what you believe and why you believe them. Share evidence. Share facts. Share historical examples. Right? I don't publicly endorse candidates. I have some candidates. There's some candidates who are running who I'm friends with. And some of them are kind of crazy. Like, why won't you endorse me? And I say, because it's not about candidates. It's up to the candidate to get their message out. I'm going to share an idea. I'm going to share what I believe about minimum wage, or what I believe about not sharing messages of violence or patriotism, or, how I believe that good Christian doctrine tells us that we should be taking care of immigrants, right? I'll share that, and you may then ascribe that to a party. And you say, well, that party believes that. I'll say, okay, well, if that party believes that, I might agree with that party then. But I don't base my beliefs on what the party believes. I base which party I support on my beliefs. And if it happens the people I agree with mostly align with one party or another, then that's the way my vote's going to go. But I would much rather share my beliefs and the arguments behind them. Because as I've explained in another one of my videos, I hate being wrong. Hate being wrong. The best way not to be wrong is stop being wrong. Be more right. And the best way to do that is that when you are wrong, invite criticism. Invite people to say, I disagree with you. And say, okay, cool. Why? Because if I'm wrong and you tell me I'm wrong, you tell me why, I can now stop being wrong and start being right. So the gist of this, which it looks like, according to that number in the corner, no one actually has watched all the way through this whole 19 minutes. But that's okay. Maybe watch the replay. The gist of this is share your beliefs, share what you know, less than who you support. And if you're going to share a meme, make sure you understand completely everything it says, everything it implies, and everything it is connected to. And if you can't figure out what all those things are, it's fine. Just don't share the meme. So I hope you have found this valuable. If anyone has any questions, put them in the comments. I'm not seeing any comments, but that could be StreamYard. I don't know. Here, let me click over here and see if I can. Any comments over here? Did I get any comments? I don't know. I'm just going to check. Computer's so slow. Can't find out. Okay. Well, probably don't have any questions hiding. I've seen some likes, though, so that's probably a positive thing. No. It's probably posting so many things. I keep thinking I have comments. And yet... Nope, looks like I just have likes and not comments. Well, that gives me no questions to answer. So I guess that means I'm done, unless you have a question. Oh, Kendra likes my way of thinking. I'm glad of that. So, see? And so actually, yeah, talking about that this is part of why I don't talk about candidates. Because it is entirely possible that if I mention a candidate, someone says, oh, you're on the other team. But if I just talk about how I think and what I believe, someone who might be voting for a different candidate from me might say, hey, I like the way you're thinking. And then if in a private conversation I happen to mention who I'm voting for, they might say, oh, I was going to vote for the other guy, but I do like what you think, and you're voting differently from me. Think about that. And maybe it'll change their mind, maybe they won't. But certainly saying, I support this person, will rarely change opinions on who you're going to vote for. And nothing anyone says is going to change who I'm going to vote for, because I cast my ballot a month ago, or a week ago, rather. So, so there we go. So unless I see any other questions, please do, if you found this valuable and interesting, share it, because, of course, it is a Facebook Live and YouTube. It's also on YouTube, which I think I can get. Yes, you can go to here. It'll short link, so you go to youtube.guywhoknowsaguy.com, and you'll find both my live videos, which are shared, as well as my daily videos. So you may find those interesting. Please also listen to my podcast. I have two podcasts. This is the Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast at guywhoknowsaguy.com/podcast. And this is my daily podcast, anchor.fm/Michael's Motivation, which I'll make a landing page for at some point. And of course, my website, Guy Who Knows a Guy, where you can sign up for my email list. So, all right. Well, thank you all for watching. And again, if you have found this valuable, please do share it with the masses. Or just if you have friends who you think need to see it, be like, hey, I saw this interesting live video. You might find it interesting. No reason, not that you need it, but maybe you know someone, which is totally how I've been promoting this whole time. I'm sure you've never offended someone online, but if you know someone who has, you might want to watch this just so you can have something to share with them. I am also on Spotify, yes. But the Spotify comes out of Anchor and the podcast. But if you go to that Anchor address, there's a link to Spotify, so you can follow it on there, because no one has the Anchor app unless they're actually a podcaster. And Spotify is a much better way to listen to things than Anchor. So, but Anchor is a great place to put a podcast if you want to do it for free. And apparently their SEO rank is phenomenal. So when you link to your website from Anchor, it gives you some really good SEO boosting, or whatever it's called. Anyway, I'm off to go do the next thing. Have a good night. Thank you for watching. And I'll probably do more of these because I had fun. Hopefully you did too.